This is NBK, nothing but Knicks. When Sim passed the assist, you know that it's #1 show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock, who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Nick updates and trade rumors? Post-game reviews, this the place you tune in. So tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sub like a player that came off the bench. This is NBK, nothing but Knicks.
My New York Knicks family, what is popping with you, ladies and gentlemen? I know it's been a little while. It's been some time since I've been on. I wanted to get on the other night. I don't know what it was, Thursday or something like that, but it just wasn't possible. But I'm here today. I want to talk about Josh Hart and the possibility that he'll get a $75 million extension from the New York Knicks that extension could take place, ladies and gentlemen, or at least the contract being signed this August, next month, one day from now. I want to know your thoughts on it. According to Stephen Bondy, when in an article talking about the New York Knicks contract, the value of the Knicks contract, we'll get into that in a little bit. But he says this may change soon, talking about the value of the Knicks contract, with extensions due for Josh Hart and Emmanuel Quickly. He said, we'll see. The word on Hart's extension, which will be delivered in August, is in the range of 4 years, $75 million. Quickly, we hear, talking about the Daily News, is looking for something bigger before the October deadline. We're going to get to Emmanuel quickly, but I want to talk about Josh Hart first and his contract. And if you think $75 million is too much, I mean, $75 million for the most part breaks out to be about $18.75 million a year. All right. Now, his contract can be structured many different ways. It could be his contract could go down. His contract could, be broken up to straight up $18.75 million, or his contract could go up, like normal contracts do. 18.75. You know what I mean? Where are you with that amount of money, I guess, for Josh Hart? He's a bench player, right? He's going to be a bench player. I don't think Josh Hart is going to be a starter on this basketball team, not with Dante DiVincenzo out there. And the reason why I say that is because DiVincenzo can shoot better than Josh Hart. Offensively, he's better than Josh Hart. He may not be a better defender, but he can give you good enough defense, and he can handle the ball a little bit. I think he can do more than Josh Hart. And then, of course, you got Quentin Grimes out there. I see Sean P. asked, what's Grimes going to look like? Grimes is going to be out there as well. So where exactly, Josh Hart is going to be a bench player on this basketball team, in my opinion. You know what I mean? Especially with the addition of Dante DiVincenzo, there's just more competition, for a starter's position. And I don't think Josh Hart is going to start on this team. You never know. Who knows what could happen. So you're talking $18.75 million for a guy that comes off the bench. For the most part, a glue guy. He hustles. He works. He grabs rebounds. He can shoot the three. He doesn't shoot it with a lot of volume, but he can shoot it and he can make it. I think he shot it, at a high clip last year. Hurt us in the playoffs because, he wasn't really shooting the ball in the playoffs like that. I guess the question is he worth $75 million? Is he worth a $75 million contract extension? I think so. Now, here's the thing. If it's a 4-year extension, I mean, the Knicks are locking themselves into some guys, right? They're locked into Julius Randle. They're locked into Jalen Brunson. They're locked into RJ Barrett. If they sign Josh Hart on a 4-year deal, they're locked into Josh Hart. At some point, this team has got to pay dividends. And, I'm not trying to rush them or push them or anything like that, but they're going to have to pay dividends, and I would say that they did pay dividends this past season when they made it to the second round of the playoffs. Fair extension. Do you think that's a fair extension for Josh Hart? Do you think that's too much? I know Uncle Fulio is going to say it's too much. Let's put it like this. The Knicks are kind of in a situation where, let me say this first. I think it's a fair extension. When I look at what some people are getting around the league, and you compare people, and it's fair. I think it's going to be a fair extension for Josh Hart, and I actually think it's important that he didn't go to free agency this year. He wanted to be a Knick. The Knicks wanted to be, they wanted to be tied to Josh Hart as well. So he did not go to free agency. He accepted the opt-in. He opted into his $13 million contract, which definitely helps the Knicks out this season when it comes to their salary cap. But now next year, 24-25 is when this contract would kick in. All right. So if Josh Hart does sign for $75 million, that contract is going to kick in at 24-25. All right. Same would happen with someone like Emmanuel. We're going to talk about quickly. I don't want to get into quickly yet. We're going to talk about quickly. But it would be the same scenario. So now, looking at the Knicks, the article that this came from, there was an article based on the Knicks contracts and how the Knicks have some of the best contracts in the league. As a matter of fact, the article says that the Knicks don't have a player in the top 50 in contracts and salary. They don't have a player in the top 50 in salary. So you talk about the value that they're getting from these players who have these contracts. You know what I mean? Jalen Brunson, $26.3 million next season, 52. He's number 52 on the list. Julius Randle, $25.7 million next season. He's number 53 on the list. RJ Barrett, $23.9 million next season. He's number 61 on the list. All right. These are good contracts. These are decent contracts. Evan Fournier's contract will be expiring going into this season. All right. But when you look at it, Josh Hart, I mean, if RJ Barrett's making $23.9 million this year, this is the first year of RJ Barrett's extension. Josh Hart making 18.75, that's pretty close. Would you say that Josh Hart's his output, his what he gives you, is it close to RJ Barrett? If his salary is going to be close to RJ Barrett, I don't know. I mean, stat-wise, it's not going to be, but I guess chemistry-wise, the defense, the rebounding, those type of things, the intermittent three-point shooting, hopefully he can pick up that volume and start to make more and shoot and make more. Then maybe it is worth it, Maybe it is worth it. Spanish Harlem said, NBA money is different now. I can't even gauge if $75 million is a lot anymore. No doubt about it. No, you're not lying. The NBA salaries are totally different today. You know what I mean? We don't know what $75 million is worth or what it is or how much it really is. You know what I mean? All we know is that he's going to get that contract. $75 million, 4 years. And maybe this is going to end up being, when you look at the contracts going around the league, maybe this is going to end up being a discount in 3 years from now, 2 years from now, or whatever it is. And it'll be a tradable contract. You know what I mean? We'll see. we'll see. That contract, the Knicks can actually, the Knicks, and I'm sure the Knicks and Josh Hart's team, they're negotiating right now. They'd be able to sign this contract extension in August. And if it's 4 years, and I guess we still have to see, is it going to be 4 years? It could be shorter than 4 years. Josh Hart could feel, hey, you know what? Salaries are going to go up. My value is going to go up. So, let's do this 2 years. Who knows? But I think he'd probably settle in and take that $75 million if it's presented to him. You know what I mean? If it's presented to him. Alan Pena said, somewhat at a loss for words. Instead of improving, we're locking in. Well, here's the thing, though. I mean, we've improved over the years. I think we've been on, we've been constantly improving. If you don't lock, you're locking in, but these contracts are tradable, right? These contracts are very tradable. When you look at Jalen Brunson, Julius Randle, RJ Barrett, those are tradable contracts. I'm assuming that Josh Hart's contract is going to be a tradable contract as well. I'm feeling as if this regime understands the current market, that they understand what the market is going to look like in a couple of years, or at least have an idea of what the market is going to look like in a couple of years. The reason why I say that is because Jalen Brunson's contract is very team friendly. Julius Randle's contract is very team friendly. And this regime actually negotiated those contracts. So they got these guys locked in for a number of years, where in the future, when the salaries go up and you look at the salaries going around the league, these guys are going to be locked into very good contracts, which is going to make it easier for the Knicks to trade these guys to bring in better players if they need to. You know what I mean? If they need to trade Randle or RJ, these contracts are going to be good. And I'm hoping that this Josh Hart contract will end up being just as good. You know what I mean? I am Jarrell said, I think fans should care less about the number and more about who's getting the contract. Hart will be the heart, in parentheses, of the Knicks going forward. I agree. I think he will be the heart of the team going forward. You know what I'm saying? He'll be the heart of the team. I think he's going to be a guy that other teams, covet his style of play and what he does. And that's why I think the Knicks are giving him this contract. Derek Wilson said, sometimes you catch lightning in a bottle. Fell in love with Hart with a short sample. There's a reason he's well-traveled. Let's see what he does during an entire season. You're right. There is a reason that he's well-traveled. And we don't know where, what that exactly is. I think the reason that he's well-traveled is not because of Josh Hart himself. I think it's because people might look and say, I can get that. I can get defense. I can get someone who's going to rebound. I can get that gritty glue type of guy. You know what I mean? And then so they say that they move him and they're not afraid to lose him because they feel like they can get that guy. But when you have a guy that, I think if you're a team that you feel like is building and hopefully moving towards a championship, and you have that guy and he fits with your team, the chemistry is there, why make the move if you can keep that guy on your team? You know what I'm saying? Even if you got to pay him a little bit more than you might think he's worth. I don't know. I think he's probably worth 18.7 million, 18.75 million. You know what I mean? And I think he's probably worth that. And if you have an idea of where you're going financially, if you have an idea of what your salary cap is, you have an idea what the salary cap might look like and where it's going, you might look at it and say, this is going to be worth it for this guy. It's going to be worth it. Now, there are obvious things that I think we're going to need from Josh Hart. We're going to need him to shoot that three ball more. I think he's proven he can hit it, but the Knicks are going to need him to shoot it more. He's hesitant. As a matter of fact, a lot of people got mad at Julius Randle on that last play versus the Miami Heat because they said that he didn't cut hard enough. I believe that Jalen Brunson should have kicked it out to Josh Hart, who was open for three, but the confidence may not have been there that he was going to shoot it. But Jalen Brunson should have kicked it out to Josh Hart, who was wide open at the top of the key. And I'm not blaming Jalen Brunson. I'm just saying the fact that Josh Hart doesn't always shoot those open shots could have been a reason that Jalen Brunson didn't kick it out. He might not have been confident that Josh Hart was going to shoot it. You know what I mean? But also collecting these affordable contracts, guys that are value, and that's what this front office has proven to be, about value. How many guys can we get for a value? Collecting these contracts, I think, is going to benefit the Knicks down the line. I don't know how far down the line. You know what I mean? I don't know how far down the line, but I think it will. This is a good question right here. Knicks Hive Live said, is Fournier worth 18? If Fournier is worth 18 million, Josh Hart is worth it. I agree. If Fournier is worth it, Josh Hart is worth it. Here's the thing. Fournier is not worth it. I think we've proven that. The Knicks thought he was worth it a couple of years ago. I think the Knicks thought that with Evan Fournier, I think they believed that they were getting Evan Fournier at the beginning of his prime, and that he would elevate, and that, maybe he was a guy that would be able to elevate from, averaging 18 points a game, 17, 18 points a game with the Orlando Magic to maybe even to an all-star level. I think they thought or hoped that they were catching lightning in a bottle. I seen somebody say that in the chat just a little bit earlier. Didn't turn out that way. I think they hoped that coming and playing with Tom Thibodeau, his defense would change. He'd become better defensively. He didn't have to become great, but better defensively. His shooting, he'd be able to knock it down he did, at least for one season, shoot the ball well for the Knicks. But it didn't work that way. So now for the Knicks, he's definitely not worth $18 million. Josh Hart obviously he brings something different. You're not relying on him for offense. You're relying on him for defense, for rebounding, for grit, for hustle. And I think he's going to always bring that. You know what I mean? Always bring that. Joseph Chavez said, first off, Fournier's a shooter. Blame the front office for giving him that much, but Tibbs doesn't know how to utilize offensive players. It's a valid argument. I think it's a valid argument. Very valid argument. You can't, for me, you can blame Tibbs if you want to. It's just hard to blame Tibbs because the Knicks won last year. They made the playoffs. They made it to the second round. They won. You know what I mean? So, that's a tough thing to do. Spanish Harlem said we actually needed Josh Hart. I think the other teams were able to replace Josh Hart. There you go, right there. And need is everything. Need is everything. You know what I mean? The Knicks needed a guy like Josh Hart. Hart, brings that, like Knicks Hive Live is saying, brings that dog mentality. They needed a guy like that. They found him in Josh Hart. You can't take the chance, and he fit with the team chemistry-wise. Do you take the chance to say, well, we can find it someplace else? Do you take that chance, go out and try to find it someplace else, and then maybe you don't find it? I think you lock in with the guy that you have that can bring it to you. So I get it. You know what I mean? I get it. East Blue Drew said, Sim, I know you as a coach see where Tibbs fails on offense. Well, I'll say this as a coach, right? I can look from a distance and say, he's not doing this, he's not doing that, he's not doing that. But I'm not there in practices. I'm not there talking to the players. I don't see them up close. I don't know their personalities up close. So it's hard for me to say, he's making this mistake and that mistake when I'm not there in person. And that's just me speaking as a coach. I can say anything from a distance and say, I think they should do this, that, and the third. Anything. But in order for me to definitively say this coach did something right or wrong, I got to know the inner workings of the team for the most part. You know what I mean? Got to know the inner workings of the team. Also, as you see up on your screen, he talks about Emmanuel Quickley. He says that Emmanuel Quickley, ladies and gentlemen, is looking for something bigger before the October deadline. So this must mean if Josh Hart is looking for $75 million, if Josh Hart is looking for $75 million and Emmanuel Quickley is looking for something bigger, then you figure Quickley's got to be thinking 80 to 100 million a year. And now you start to wonder where the Knicks fit all of this into their salary cap starting next season. Because even if the Knicks did extend Emmanuel Quickley, right? That the extension money wouldn't begin until the 24-25 season. So I guess, maybe, I don't know, is Emmanuel Quickley worth $20 to $25 million a year, in your opinion? I think he might be. He might be. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to get my thoughts together really quick. I think he might be. And my thoughts right now, I'm thinking about just the Knicks salary. Thinking about the Knicks salary. If now you have Josh Hart on $18.75 million contract, and then you got Emmanuel Quickley that would be on a $20 to $25 million contract. If he's looking for something bigger than Josh Hart's, I don't think I don't think that the Knicks would pay Emmanuel Quickley more than they're paying RJ Barrett. So you'd figure it'd be some, 18 to 23 million dollars a year is what I'm saying. $100 million contract, $90 to $100 million contract, settling somewhere between $18 and $22 million a year, something like that, right? Probably more than 18. So let's go $20 to $22 million a year. Is Emmanuel Quickley worth it? Probably so. Probably so. But now you're talking about the Knicks having, 5 contracts where they're paying people $20 million a year. Is this the right strategy? Let me ask you. Right? Bringing in guys, or not bringing in, paying guys, I guess they'd be value contracts, expecting that Quickley's going to get better, Hart's going to get better, Brunson's going to get better, RJ and Randall all going to get better. Now they have some valuable contracts, and if and when that time comes, you have them to cash in. I mean, it seems like a sound strategy. You have these contracts to cash in. Right now, you got somebody come along who's making $46 million a year. You can say, you know what, I got 5 guys making, 20 to 18 to $25 million per year. I could take 2 of them and turn them into 1 star. Right? And teams would be interested in these players. Now, I, for one, believe that Emmanuel Quickley is going to be moved. I don't know when. Probably not probably not before this summer. Maybe not even before the deadline. I don't know. Or maybe at the deadline. I don't know. I don't know. Are the Knicks going to pay Emmanuel Quickley? Or does Emmanuel Quickley want to become a starter someplace else? Is it a sign and trade scenario? For some reason, I just feel like Emmanuel Quickley is going to end up on another team somewhere, fighting to be, or wanting to be, or hoping to be, expecting to be one of the starting guards. I just don't see it happening with the Knicks. Not that he's not worthy of being a starter. with the current makeup of this basketball team, it's hard for me to see how it works. I guess that's what I'm saying. You know what I mean? It's hard. It's just hard for me to see how it works with Emmanuel Quickly as a starter. I think he's had some of his best games next to Brunson. You know, and when I say best games, I don't mean just scoring wise, but being efficient. I had a discussion with Uncle Fulio a little while ago, a couple of months ago, and we were talking about Emmanuel Quickly, him playing next to Jalen Brunson. His argument was that Emmanuel Quickly plays better when he has the ball in his hands and he's dominating the ball, et cetera, et cetera. You know, he's that primary guard. And I actually feel Emmanuel Quickly plays a little bit better when he's off the ball. The reason why I say I feel like he plays a little bit better when he's off the ball is because I feel that he's more efficient when he's off the ball. And he can still give you 20 a game. He can still give you 20 points, but I think he's more efficient when he's off the ball. He's not bad at catching and shooting. He is a guy. He's a lead guard, though. I don't know if you would consider him point guard, but he's a lead guard. Or at least has the lead guard mindset, you know? So this is where I think he wants to start in his league. And I think that his people are going to want him to start in the league because they probably feel like, listen, he was in a conversation for sixth man of the year. They probably feel like Emmanuel Quickly could be a starter and be a fringe all-star in this league. You know what I'm saying? So I do feel like Emmanuel Quickly's time with the Knicks is probably limited. You know what I mean? I think he's probably limited. Joseph Chavez said, we need to actually get the value for these players. We keep decreasing our young guys' value. We're getting bag of chips. I disagree with that. I disagree. You know, we're talking about Obi Toppin right now. That's what we're talking about, Obi. Right? I know that's what you're talking, Obi. Every situation is not going to work out. Just because the Knicks would have played Obi doesn't mean it's going to benefit you. You know, I know, you know, people say, well, if you played Obi, you would have been able to trade him for more, so on and so forth, right? Grant Williams played for the Boston Celtics. He went to the NBA championship. They still got 2 second-round picks for Grant Williams when they traded him. You know what I mean? Who knows what the market is right now for players? So I can't definitively say that the Knicks would have got more for Obi if they played, or if it would have benefited the Knicks more if they played Obi, because if they played Obi more, you know, would the Knicks have won more games, or would they have done more in the playoffs? We don't know. I don't know. You know when I'll know better, or we'll know better? When we see what Obi does with Indiana, right? Because Indiana, for whatever reason, still, you know, they were interested in dude from Toronto, right? So they even them in their mindset is looking and saying, we might need a guy that we might need another power forward on this team. We might need a starting power forward. Who knows? So I don't think that this regime has devalued our young players. I think Emmanuel Quickly, he came in to this team and got consistent playing time. Quentin Grimes came to this team and got consistent playing time. Young players. Everybody's not going to get it. That's what it is. Everybody's not going to get it. Emmanuel Quickly's value is high. Quentin Grimes' value, you know, is going to continue to grow. He was a starter for the Knicks last season. And it's probably going to have first dibs at that starting spot this year. He's got a challenge with Dante DiVincenzo. It's going to be a challenge. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be a nice battle in training camp. But that's what you want anyway. That's how guys get better. So I don't think the Knicks are devaluing the young guys. You know what I mean? You know, it wasn't a good situation with Obi Toppin. No doubt about it. Wasn't a good situation with Obi. And hopefully Obi's in a spot where he's going to be able to get playing time, prove that he can be a starter in this league, and whatever he wants to prove and do what he wants to do. But I just don't believe that the Knicks are devaluing the young players, or Tom Thibodeau's devaluing the young players, He's going to play the guys that deserve to be on the floor, or that he believes, or that he feels deserves to be on the floor. You know what I mean? That's what I think. Joseph, you said Obi dropped 20.1 points per game with 25 minutes. We could have gotten more. He did. You know what I'm saying? I guess, go back and look at, go back and survey all the times. We're always talking about the end of the seasons. The last 2 seasons, Obi, did a lot of work in the last 5 games of the seasons. And we're saying that he's going to be able to do that if he becomes the starter, or if he got more minutes, or if he plays 30 minutes a game, he's going to be able to do the same thing. It's so different. It's so different because once you become that bona fide starter, now you're on everyone's scouting report. Like, not just like, oh yeah, Obi comes in and changes the pace of the game. No, you're the guy. You're one of the guys that we're trying to shut down now. It becomes totally different. You don't know how Obi's going to react. If he becomes a starter and gets 30 minutes per game, you don't know if he's going to be able to handle those type of defensive adjustments that get played against him. What a team's going to, how are teams going to scheme against Obi, and then how are his teammates, how is Obi, how are his coaches going to adjust to the way that teams scheme against him? We don't know anything like that about Obi. You know what I mean? So we can't predict. I mean, we can predict if we want to. I mean, I think he could average 18-5, 18-8, but will his team be a playoff caliber team? We'll see. You know what I mean? We will see. I don't know. But back to Emmanuel quickly. I think that the Knicks, if he's not traded, I think that they'll look at a contract extension, and they're not going to do it in October. I don't think they do it in October. I think they wait until the end of next season and then look at it. The same way they did with RJ Barrett. Same way. Now, how is it going to work with the Knicks and their salary cap? That's the question. Right? That's the question, because right now, for 24-25, for this season, ladies and gentlemen, the Knicks are at $163.3 million in payroll, in team payroll for 23-24. All right, so they're not in the luxury tax. They're not in the luxury tax. Now, in 24-25, the Knicks are already at $107.4 million. If you add 18.75 for Josh Hart, right, now you're talking $125 million, $126 million, somewhere around there. And then if you add in Emmanuel quickly, making, let's say, about $20 million, right, you're at, $140-something million, $145 million or something like that, which is probably over the salary cap. We don't know what that salary cap is for 24-25 yet. But I'm thinking that's probably going to be over the salary cap, below the luxury tax. Okay. If the Knicks are over that salary cap, they don't have to pay luxury tax yet, but now they get certain privileges taken away, as far as making trades and using trade exceptions and being able to throw cash into trades and things like that. It becomes difficult to move when you start getting over that salary cap. You know what I mean? So is that something the Knicks would do? Who knows? They might. Especially if they think Emmanuel quickly can be used in a trade. So I guess my question to you would be this. Is it more beneficial? Is it beneficial for the Knicks to trade Emmanuel quickly while he's on the contract that he has now? All right, so for this season, Emmanuel quickly is going to make 4.1. Okay, and then there's a qualifying offer for 24-25 for 6.1. So the Knicks control Emmanuel Quickly's contract. They can decide not to give an extension and then extend him a qualifying offer, okay? Tell him to go out on the market, see how much teams are willing to pay you, and then we can decide if we want to match that contract. So the Knicks control Emmanuel Quickly's contract. Do you feel the Knicks should give Emmanuel give Quickly an extension or match a contract or whatever it is? Now you got him and you can trade Emmanuel Quickly or whoever else, of course, but you can use him in a trade because I think he has value around the league and I think he's going to get better. Or do you try to get him or do you try to move him now or by the deadline when you're only paying him $6 million a year? Or you're paying $4 million for this season, actually. Right now, obviously his salary is not going to make a big chunk within a trade. His salary is not going to make a chunk because it's only $4 million. But you could trade him teams who might really value Emmanuel Quickly because they feel like for 2 years, for next year, or for this upcoming season and the following season, they could possibly have him on a smaller deal. Right, so they may be willing to trade Emmanuel Quickly, but then you got to throw, trade for Quickly. Then you got to throw other money in there or other contracts in there to make the trade work. But do you want to get rid of him now? You don't have to worry about this whole thing. You don't have to worry about the salary stuff, which you're gonna have to worry about it anyway because you'll be probably bringing back someone with more salary. Or you say, you know what, I'm gonna extend him now. When I trade him, his salary could take up a big chunk of the money that's going in that trade. But then teams are going to start to ask, do I want to pay Emmanuel Quickly $20 million? Anybody in the league is going to pay him $4 million. Do I want to pay him $20 million? You see what I'm saying? So, that's a strategy that it's got to figure out what to do. I would think if it came to it, that they would probably extend him or match a contract, but also know that someone is going to have to make, they're going to have to throw some guys together, some guys, put guys in a package to try to make a move for someone bigger, you know what I mean? Or a bigger, not name, but a player that they need. You know what I mean? That's going to be, it's going to be interesting to see the way the Knicks move over the next few years. So far, they've spread around their money pretty well, right? Julius Randle, 23-24, 28.2. Jalen Brunson, 26.3. RJ Barrett, 23.8. And it looks like that Daily News report actually reported Julius Randle at $25.7 million. That's wrong. I think that's wrong. Julius Randle's at 28.2. Evan Fournier, 18.8, which actually doesn't end up being a great contract for the Knicks. They're trying to get off of it. Mitchell Robinson, 15.6. Josh Hart, 12.9. Dante DiVincenzo is at 10.9. Isaiah Hartenstein, 9.2. Quickly, 4.1. Quentin Grimes, 2.3. So the Knicks have done a good job spreading out their money. They've done a really good job doing that. Once they can move on from this Evan Fournier deal, what I'm saying? Like their books are going to look pretty good. Jalen Brunson will never make, under this contract, he'll never make $30 million as a Knick under this contract. RJ Barrett will not make $30 million under this contract. The only person under their current contracts that will make $30 million is Julius Randle. Next season, 24-25, he'll make $30.3 million. Right? Very good contracts from the Knicks that seem to hold some value around the league. You know what I mean? JJ, how much are we going to spend on bench players? Hart, DiVincenzo, and quickly all bench players that are going to be making big money. I guess my question to you, JJ, is with the current landscape of the NBA, is $18.75 million big money? Right? Is that big money? Do you consider that big money? I don't know. Someone said earlier they're not sure if $75 million is a lot of money. I don't know if that's big money. Dante DiVincenzo, $11 million? Dante DiVincenzo's contract, 10.9, 11.4, 11.9, 12.5. I'm not sure if that's big money in the NBA anymore, to be honest with you. I really don't. I don't know if it's big money anymore. You said with our salary cap, it's big money. That's what JJ said. With our salary cap, I'm sorry. Joseph Chavez. With our salary cap, it is big money. I disagree. I kind of disagree because the salary cap is fluid. It changes every year. It goes up every year. You know what I mean? $10.9 million. That's not a lot of money in today's league, man. It's not a lot of money. I just don't think it is. Josh Hart, $12.9 million this season. It's not a lot. I don't think it's a lot. Mitchell Robinson, 15.6 this season. Next season, 14.3. The season after that, 12.9. His contract descends. I mean, those are bench player prices. Bench play. Look at what guys are getting in this league. If Jaylen Brown, and I'm not knocking Jaylen Brown at all, right? But if Jaylen Brown, who's an all-star player, he's going to make $52.1 million in one season. In 27-28, he'll make 64.6. That's the last season of his contract. Right? We're talking about 11 million. And, I'm not saying Dante DiVincenzo gives you the production that Jaylen Brown does, but 11 million is about not even 1/4 of, just about 1/4 of what Jaylen Brown is going to be making beginning next season. 11 million is about 1/4 of that. Dante DiVincenzo is probably 1/4 or 1/3 of the player. So to me, that kind of makes sense. It works out. So I don't think that's a lot of money. You know what I'm saying? And everyone has the same salary cap. So it's not with the Knicks salary cap. It's everybody has the same salary cap in the league. You know what I mean? There we go. That's what I want to get up. Melbester 9 says, so what? This team is building around Brunson and Nova championship teams of college. You have to pay them to run the team. You have to pay them to run the team they had when they won. This is a Nova Knicks super team. Get used to it. I think what I don't even think it's about them. Obviously, them winning in Villanova means something to the front office. I don't think that's the sole reason why. I think they're doing it because they have chemistry and they work well together, and the front office must believe, and Tom Thibodeau believe that they can perform on an NBA level together. You know what I'm saying? They can perform at a high level in the NBA together. You know what I'm saying? They have some chemistry. It's not just about them being at Villanova, I don't think. I think it has more to do than that because there's plenty of players that played on the same team together, but, they're not together in the league, and the Knicks aren't trying to put them together in the league. I think this specific team had chemistry. They worked hard. They played defense. They did the things there that the Knicks want on this current team. You know what I mean? So, if it works, no one's going to say anything if it works. It's all about winning. The Knicks win. No one's going to care that they all played for Villanova together. You know what I mean? Nobody's going to care. But ladies and gentlemen, I just wanted to jump on real quick, talk about Josh Hart a little bit. I'm going to try to get on tomorrow. It's just the past week I've been traveling and moving around a lot. So it's been hard for me to get on and just talk Knicks or anything like that because I've been moving around. But I'm going to try to get on tomorrow at some point. I don't know when or what time or if I'm even going to be able to. But I'm going to try to because I want to talk about Julius Randle a little bit. I might do an independent video on it. I want to talk about Randle and, how, I seen the video of Julius Randle working out and recovering. Do you think that Julius Randle is going to come back in the best shape possible? I'm a little bit nervous about it. The last time that Randle, he's always in, there's like a minimum threshold for Randle. He's always going to be at a certain level and in shape. Always, going to be at a certain level and in shape. But when he's at his best, that's when he performs his best. And we all seen what happened that year when, he came back, after the first All NBA season, and he came back and it didn't seem like, he wasn't, or he admittedly said he wasn't in the best shape. We looked at him and thought he was in shape, but he wasn't in the best shape. Didn't have that good of a season. I don't want to have that again. I'm hoping that his mindset, he understands what he needs to do to get back. But I want to have that conversation, ladies and gentlemen. But hey, I appreciate your time. Thank you for being patient with me. Next week, I should be able to be back and be on. My traveling is going to calm down a little bit, ladies and gentlemen. But anyway, I'm out of here. And yeah, I will, hopefully I'll see you guys tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen. I'm out. Peace.
This is NBK, nothing but Knicks. When Sim passed the assist, you know that it's #1 show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock, who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Nick updates and trade rumors? Post-game reviews, this the place to tune in. So tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you're feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sub like a player that came off the bench. This is NBK, nothing but Knicks.